and welcome to the new year. This is January 2026. I cannot believe this is already here, and I am talking to you for the first time in 2026. So hi, everyone. I'm Denise Stegall, the Menopause Mentor, and this is the Healthy Living Happy Midlife podcast. And today I'm going to talk about something that shows up every year in January. Okay. Honestly, this is something that stresses out every single person I know, especially those of us who are in perimenopause, menopause, and yes, even those of us who are in postmenopause, which makes me think that this is something that stresses everybody out from the time we start hearing about them, right? This is New Year's resolutions, my friend. I don't believe in them. Tell you why. Why? Because they do not work. They never have, and they never will, right? Every year, people start off with this great enthusiasm. Oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to fill in the blank, right? And the pressure to change everything overnight. Oof, right? And maybe a couple days, couple weeks, you got that, you're still motivated, and then the motivation fades, and you're left frustrated and more often than not feeling defeated, right? Why can't I do this? This happens to me every year. I'm a loser. I'm, not smart enough to do this. Like, I don't have the capabilities. Oh, please. This is not true. If these are words that you've ever said to yourself, please erase them from your memory. Take them out of your vocabulary. Why? Because resolutions are usually built on pressure instead of purpose, right? This is why they fail. So let's think about this. We tell ourselves we're going to lose 20 pounds, right? We're going to eat healthier. We're going to go to bed earlier. We're going to go to the gym 5 days a week. These are big goals. They're lofty goals. They're also very vague. And they're actually too disconnected to what actually fits into your life at this time, right? February comes, life happens. So like I said, maybe in January you do pretty well. But then February comes, and depending where you live, if you're up here, up north, it's cold. It's dreary. Well, some days it's sunny here in the wintertime. But it's super cold, and you don't really want to go out. But what else is happening? Your hormones are still shifting. You're starting to get stressed out because you've set this resolution to do all of these things, right? And then your all or nothing mentality starts to kick in, right? Because you've said, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. It's a lot of stuff. So instead of setting yourself up for failure, what I've tried to do is completely different, right? What if this year is not about resolutions, but it's about habits that stick? And I said habits, but I want you to start with one habit, one shift. That's my philosophy. New year, new habit, just one. Okay. We'll get into the habits later, but one shift. Okay. It's January. It's the first week of January. So what are we going to do? We're going to pick one thing, one small thing, something specific, a specific habit that feels doable, but it's also meaningful to you, right? Something brings you closer to who you want to be, right? We're always becoming a new person, right? Every day, every experience, every decision we make brings us closer and closer to the woman we are becoming. We're always becoming, right? Think about it. You're not the same person you were last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, certainly not the same woman you were 20 years ago. You've lived, you've experienced, right? So who is it that you want to be in 2026? Because real transformation doesn't come from these overnight overhauls, these quick fixes. It comes from consistent, intentional action, one day at a time, right? So instead of saying, I'm going to eat better, what does it even mean? You can commit to maybe eating one whole food meal every day. Maybe it's breakfast. Maybe that looks like some oatmeal and some berries, or yogurt and berries with some nuts, right? Okay, so that could be a very distinctive, specific flip to I'm going to eat better, right? Make it very specific. So, because once it's specific, you know what to do. What does eating better mean? You kind of go to the food store and you're going to eat better, and so you buy all this stuff, and you really don't have a plan, right? By eating one whole food meal every day, you have a plan. Okay. Instead of I'll be more mindful, maybe you decide to journal each morning and write down the things that you're grateful for before you go to bed. That's actually something I do every night before I go to bed, is to write down. And sometimes I don't always write it down, but I really think about what I'm grateful for. What happened in the day that was beautiful. Now, sometimes life gets crazy, and some days, like, there's so much happening, right? But there's something in each day that you be grateful for. I woke up, the sun was shining. Somebody opened the door for me. Like little things that actually matter. Right? If we live our life thinking everything is doom and gloom, then it is. But when we start looking at the things, the little things that we're grateful for, right? I'm always grateful in when I live in Minnesota when the sun is shining and it's above freezing in January, which doesn't happen very often, by the way. But it's a beautiful day. So it may not be above 32 degrees, but the sun is shining. It's a beautiful day out there. Okay. So these are some small steps, but they create big results, right? If you're somebody who, when it comes to journaling, you're thinking, oh, I don't really want to write, I don't want to write in a diary. It's not a diary. I do bullet points. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. And sometimes it's just a few words. Some days it's more, but I got into this habit years ago. And no matter what's going on in my life, whether somebody's sick or somebody's passed away or life is just getting stressful, whatever it may be, being able to step back and write down the things that I'm grateful for changes everything. It changes the mood, it changes the energy, right? And life is about energy and about uh, living our life the way we want to, and responding to situations instead of reacting. This helps us to do this. Okay, so I'll tell you about one of the things that I started doing a few years ago. One small change that completely changed my evenings. Um, I don't look at social media or my phone after 7 p.m. 7 p.m. is typically between 7 and 7:30 is typically when my husband and I have dinner. Okay. The phone is plugged in the kitchen, not by my stove or by the sink, on the other side of the kitchen, right? It stays there and it never goes into my bedroom. Like, I do not bring that phone into the bedroom at night, ever. There's just no need, right? That one boundary, that one habit changed everything. Without, scrolling through social media before bed, my mind felt calmer. Right. Well, especially right now, there's so much on social media that is unpleasant and nasty, and really just hurtful. Right. When social media started, it was all about, oh, let's connect with these old friends. This is great. And that was fun. Well, now there's so many layers of social media, and it's everybody shows you the pictures of them, on vacation, this beautiful spot. And lots of us have AI photos. Hey, I'm guilty. I have some too. But we look perfect, right? This is my hair today. It's not perfect, but this is who I am, right? So my mind felt calmer when I went to bed. The beautiful thing without social media is I wasn't comparing myself to anyone or stressing over whatever this latest news was. So what happened? I was able to fall asleep faster. I slept better. I felt more grounded. And I actually looked forward to winding down at night. Right? Here's the thing there. There is actually science behind this. I love this. I love science. Everyone knows that. I say this many, many times. Everything that I do and I talk about is science backed. I'm never just going to say some blanket statement that I can't back up. So the science behind this with the phone, whether it's your phone or your laptop or your Bluetooth, not Bluetooth, iPad, that's what it was, your iPad, any of those things, right? They all have blue light. and emotionally charged content actually increases your cortisol levels, what makes it actually harder for your body to produce melatonin, which is your sleep hormone. So often I talk about this when it comes to hormones. Cortisol is one of the big five, I call them. It's actually estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol. Cortisol is such a challenge for us in midlife because as our estrogen is decreasing, our cortisol is just naturally increasing. And then we add stress and social media and all the things. And so that cortisol level is, we're rising it, keeping it risen so much during the day that when it's naturally supposed to start depleting at night, where melatonin takes in and helps us to sleep, the cortisol is still so high that it's not allowing the melatonin to take over and help you to sleep. So there's some huge science behind that, right? And it is hormonal, and you can find plenty of articles that talk about that. For those of us in midlife, we know sleep is already a challenge, right? That extra spike in cortisol could be the difference in a restful night's sleep or a completely restless one, right? So if you're restless, you're waking up. And if you're in midlife and you're dealing with hot flashes, you're probably waking up anyway. So with the elevated cortisol, and you can't fall asleep, and now you're struggling with sleep, like on top of struggling with sleep. So again, the power of one habit. I stopped looking at social media after 7 or 7:30. I sleep better. I have better energy. I'm not stressed out. Now, sure, in the morning, 1 hour after I wake up, that was my next step in this habit. Sure. Then when I have had a good night's sleep, I can go through and look at social media. And I'm not a scroller. I've learned that just infuriates me and wastes time. And life is too short to just waste time on nothing. So how do you choose your habit? Okay. If you're not sure where to start, I like to guide my clients through the signature pillars that I talk about in all of my programs, all of my teaching, all of my coaching. Okay, they are eat real food, one real food habit that nourishes your body. I mentioned before, cooking some colorful whole food veggies, right? Adding greens to your lunch, nourishment that stabilizes your blood sugar and supports healthy metabolism. So that's eat real food. So that's pillar number one. So if you're not really sure, maybe that's where you start, right? Make good decisions. This is about your mindset. Again, try gratitude journaling. Maybe it's a mindful breathing practice that helps you to respond better to situation as opposed to reacting. I said that a little bit more, especially, we find ourselves in stressful situations, whether it's with family, with work, with friends, whatever it may be, right? And if we can responding doesn't have that, is not emotionally charged as reacting, right? So we want to make sure that we can respond more than we react. And these acts strengthen your emotional balance and your self-awareness. I know there's so many people that I've known in my life that really didn't understand that they reacted to things all the time and why they felt drained and exhausted all the time. The third pillar is be accountable. This is where your habit becomes real. This is where you set reminders, tell a friend, track your progress. Again, digital sunset, no screen after 7. My personal accountability habit keeps me grounded. It helps me protect my energy and sleep. This is really what I've been talking about, what I do, but what I do may not necessarily resonate with you. Maybe there's something completely different that you want to change. Maybe there's a habit in your life that you'd like to focus on that has nothing to do with food. Maybe it's maybe it's exercise, right? So often we say in the beginning of the year, oh, I'm going to work out 5 days a week, but we're working 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 or 10, 50, 60 hours a week. How are you going to fit that in? Right. So realistically, how many days can you actually work out? And are you going to work out at a gym? Are you going to work out at home? Are you going to start running? And you can do that outside, except it's really freaking cold out here in Minnesota right now. So I run on a treadmill. Either way, this habit has to resonate with you. And certainly, I am here to support you in that. If that's something that you need some support with, in the show notes, there's the connection. There's a link to my calendar. Let's talk. This is where to me, this is where the midlife metabolic connection kind of is, right? This is where everything that I do, that I talk about, ties in. Each of these small, consistent habits are going to regulate your hormones, lower your inflammation, and reset your metabolism. So everything I've talked about thus far, whether it's food, sleep, gratitude journaling, exercise, they're going to regulate your hormones. Yes, we know in midlife our hormones are all over the place. Like, they're never going to be balanced. No matter what anybody says, hormone balance is not exactly really achievable. We want them to work in harmony together, right? So just a piece of information on hormones that nobody really understands. It's like, I want them all balanced. Well, that's great. They've never been balanced from the time we were preteens, right? Anyway, so these habits also lower inflammation. If you're eating whole foods, you're taking processed foods and junk food out of your diet, but you're going to lower inflammation. We know that as estrogen declines, that our inflammation increases. Again, estrogen has receptors. There are estrogen receptors everywhere in your body, literally from your brain to your bladder. Every organ has an estrogen receptor. So obviously, when estrogen starts to decline, the protective nature of estrogen is going to kind of slowly disappear. And things like inflammation, chronic inflammation, low-grade inflammation are going to increase. Also, these recommendations or suggestions that I have are going to help you reset your metabolism. Obviously, if you've been eating a standard American diet forever and a day, changing your diet, even just making one meal a day, whole foods, is going to help change your metabolism. And truly, that's what my program, the Midlife Metabolic Flip, is all about. It's about teaching women to build sustainable habits that support hormone balance and energy naturally. So when you eat food, sleep deeply, manage stress, and your body starts to communicate more clearly, right? You stop fighting your metabolism and you kind of start flowing with it. Now, what do I mean where your body starts to communicate? Actually, what's happening, I believe, is you're actually noticing things, right? Instead of just, I don't feel good. I don't feel like myself. You start to notice, you know what? I didn't sleep so well last night. I wonder why. You know what? I have a little bit more energy during the day. I feel a little bit more positive every day. I had a client just recently call me and say, since we started doing this XYZ, she and I are not working on the metabolic flip. She's working, she and I are working one-on-one. And she says, I can't believe how much happier I am. Wow. To me, that was the hugest win that she could ever have. And as a coach, the biggest, biggest thank you that a client could ever give me. So again, it's about working with your metabolism instead of fighting it. So all of these habits, again, pick one that works for you. This piece is important. Now, yes, you can decide, this is what I'm going to do. And again, I always pick diet because so many of us in midlife are complaining that we have gained weight and we're not happy with that. No one's happy when they're gaining weight and they don't really know how to manage it, right? If you write down why you're picking this habit. This is going to is going to really change the fact that you can write it. You're going to actually succeed. Before we go there, you're actually going to take the steps in order to succeed, right? Just because we say we're going to make a habit, if we don't take the steps, we'll never get to that point where it is a habit and we've succeeded. So grab a notebook, write down your why, right? Why does this matter to you? How are you going to feel when this habit becomes second nature and it's just part of your life? Picture yourself 6 months from now, calmer, stronger, clearer. That is the power of progress, my friend, over perfectionism, right? We got to get rid of perfectionism. Perfectionism shows up in this way when we're talking about habits and changing habits or including new habits in that all or nothing mentality. So if you've decided, I'm going to have one whole food meal, eat real food every day, and one day you don't, say you're traveling, don't kick yourself. It's not like, oh, you screwed it up now and might as well just continue to fail. No, give yourself some grace there. If you fall off the wagon for a day, if you fall off the wagon for a week, just get back, start back. A friend of mine who has been my coach in the past, she used to say, make it right the very next bite. So you've been traveling or you had a big business meeting and whatever the garbage that they served at the meeting, that's what you had all day. Okay, fine. The very next day, have breakfast, make it a whole food breakfast. Maybe you had pizza and all soda and all sorts of chips and stuff like that for lunch because that's what was available. Okay, fine. Your next meal is dinner. Make it a healthy whole food dinner. So it's that next bite, it's that next step. So for me, that has always worked in my mindset, right? It takes the perfectionism out of the equation and helps you to see much more clearly. So earlier I said the word habits, plural, right? If you like this system, this is something that I love. Okay, so it's January. So we're going to work on this first new habit, right? New year, new habit. About this quarter, new habit. Instead of trying to do everything in January, right? Focus on mastering one habit each quarter. So let's say you want to lose 20 pounds. Okay. You're not going to lose 20 pounds in a month. It's going to take a little bit of time, right? How much time did it take for you to gain that 20 pounds? So what I like to think about is kind of taking this in small chunks, right? If you want to lose 20 pounds, okay, we could do 5 pounds a quarter. That's doable. Right. So by the end of the year, you have lost that 20 pounds. Right? For most people, losing 20 pounds, if they're really focused on it, may not take the year. It may take 2 quarters, right? But if, say, you have a habit that you've mastered and say it's a gratitude practice and you've been faithful at this the entire quarter, and it's just something now that you just do automatically. Maybe it's time for another habit, right? Maybe then it's breath work. There's all sorts of videos online and on YouTube that you can follow to learn more about breath work. So by the end of the year, if you've taken each quarter and added a new habit, you have 4 strong, sustainable habits that are part of your daily rhythm. No resolutions required. So, ladies, as we step into this new year, skip the pressure, skip the unrealistic promises. Instead, choose one habit that supports your energy, your mindset, and your midlife wellness. Because when you choose one habit that supports all those things, you are going to align with who you are becoming. Okay, so you're supporting your energy, your mindset, and your midlife wellness. Those habits align with who you are becoming. And you're not the same person you were last year, right? And once you see this, everything changes. So, with that, my friends, I'm Denise Stegall, the Menopause Mentor, and this has been the Healthy Living Happy Midlife podcast. If you are ready to flip your metabolism and create habits that truly stick, I'd love to invite you in to learn more about the Midlife Metabolic Flip. It's where science-backed habits lead to big, lasting transformation. You can learn more at the link in the show notes. Until next time, eat real food, make your decisions, be accountable. That is how you build a healthy living, happy midlife. See you next time. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Healthy Living, Happy Midlife. My hope is that today's conversation left you inspired, encouraged, and ready to take the next step toward creating a vibrant, fulfilling life that you deserve. Remember, you don't have to settle for fatigue, brain fog, or frustration. Midlife is not the end of your story. It's the doorway to your next best chapter. And I'm here to help you walk through it with energy, with confidence, and with joy. So if you're ready to take this journey further, I invite you to schedule a free strategy call with me. The link is in the show notes. And together we'll design a plan that works for you at this time in your life, for your body. So be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast platform. Catch the video version on YouTube so you never miss another episode. Share it with a friend who needs to hear that midlife can truly be the most powerful season of her life. Until next time, I'm Denise Stegall, reminding you that healthy living, happy midlife is just possible. It's yours for the